A Slimy Story. I have a big problem. Mom's surprise birthday party is only a few days away. And what do I have to give her for a present? Nothing, that's what. I'm trying to make a list of gift ideas. So far, all I have written is gift ideas. The rest of the page is blank. The door to my room flies open. "Hey, Dan," says my big brother Todd. "Check out what I got Mom for her birthday. Gardening gloves." I'm impressed. Mom loves gardening. "Cool idea," I say, trying to sound happy. Inside, I don't feel happy at all. Todd has been saving up for weeks so he can afford a great gift. I haven't saved anything. The next morning is gray and rainy. My friend Stacy is waiting at the corner. We always walk to school together. I open my mouth to say hello. "Stop!" Stacy shouts. "Don't move." I freeze. "Why? What's wrong?" "You almost stepped on that earthworm," she says, pointing to the ground. There are about 5,000 different kinds of earthworms in the world. I roll my eyes, but I wait while she rescues the soggy little creature. "Look, there are more," says Stacy. "Help me move them into the grass." "No way," I say. "I'm not touching those slimy things." I look at one of the worms. It's long and pinkish. I can't tell which end is the head and which is the tail. Earthworms have no eyes, ears, or noses. They have mouths, but no teeth. "What have you got against earthworms?" asks Stacy. "I think they're neat." "I think they're slimy, squishy, and gross," I say. "And you're weird." "Are you in a bad mood or something?" Stacy asks. "Sorry," I say. "My mom's birthday is in 2 days, and I don't have a gift for her or enough money to get one." "You'll think of something," Stacy says. I hope she's right. Earthworms are squishy because they have no bones. Worms are a kind of animal called invertebrates. Invertebrates do not have backbones. During lunch, I jot down a few gift ideas. They're all pretty bad. And on his idea list, it says, gift ideas. Number 1, learn to knit and make her socks. Number 2, bake a cake and jump out of it. Number 3, gardening stuff with some question marks. I groan and put my head down on my notebook. This is hopeless. There are more worms on the sidewalk the next morning. Yuck! But I step carefully so I won't squish any of them. Todd sneaks up on me. "What's wrong, Dan? Afraid of touching a little worm?" He dangles one right in my face. "Why would I be afraid of worms?" I ask him. "They're not nearly as gross as you are." I walk off before he can say anything else. Why do earthworms come up from the ground when it rains? Some scientists believe the worms are looking for mates, but others don't agree on what real reason is. It's a wormy mystery. When we get to class, Stacy pulls me aside. Dan, do you know there's a worm in your pocket?" A little pink head, or maybe a tail, is poking out of my jacket pocket. "Oh, gross," I say. "He must have stuck the worm when my back was turned." Some other kids noticed the worm too. "Ew," says Amanda. "Why did you bring a worm to school? Gross," says Andy. What's going on back here? Asks Ms. Stewart. Dan brought a worm to school, says Amanda. New friend, Dan? Asks Ms. Stewart. More like a stowaway, I say. Ms. Stewart laughs. Well, since it's here, it might as well stay a while, but it needs a place to hang out. How about this jar? Asks Stacy. I'll put some dirt and old leaves from the window plant. Perfect, says Ms. Stewart. Is Dan's worm a he or a she? Neither. Worms are hermaphrodites. That means they have both male and female parts. I pick up the worm. It isn't really that gross, but I still don't like touching it. I drop it into the jar. The worm starts moving slowly on top of the dirt. Worms need moist soil in order to breathe. Air and water from the soil passes through a worm's slimy skin and into its body. Everyone stands around looking at it. What's the worm doing? Asks Amanda. Do worms have brains? Asks Peter. Can we name it Wiggler? Asks Stacy. Which end is the head? I ask. I still can't tell. How do worms get around without arms or legs? Earthworms have special muscles and bristles called setae. They help them move through the dirt. Ms. Stewart smiles. Why don't you all look up some facts about earthworms for homework tonight? Then we can share them tomorrow. She picks up the worm jar. For now, let's give our worm some time to get used to its new home. Earthworms like the dark. Even though they can't see, they can sense light. If you shine a light on a worm, it will try to dig, hide, or move away. Stacy drags me to the library after school. I need to be thinking of gift ideas, I complain. Mom's party is tomorrow. Besides, this is going to be boring. But once we start looking through some books, a funny thing happens. I forget to be bored. Worms are actually interesting. Pretty soon, Stacy and I are telling each other all kinds of weird worm facts. I even discover how to tell the head from the tail. And in the bubbles it says, earthworms have 5 pairs of hearts. And he says, some kinds of earthworms are 10 feet long. And in the book it says, the clitellum is the swollen band around the earthworm's body. On their book, there is a picture of the worm, and it points to the anterior head, the clitellum in the center, and the posterior tail. And then it says, the anterior head of an earthworm is always closer to the clitellum. That night, I decide I have to face the truth. I'm not going to come up with a good present for Mom by tomorrow. There is only one thing to do. It's kind of lame, but it's still better than nothing. And he wrote a card saying, I owe you one present. Happy birthday, Mom. Love, Dan. The next morning, Ms. Stewart brings out the worm jar. Wiggler made tunnels in the dirt, says Sue. Worms eat dirt, says Peter. And they're covered with snot, says Andy. It's called mucus, says Stacy. Earthworms belong to the annelid family. An annelid's body is made up of segments. And they help plants, says Amanda, because they aerate the soil, asks Ms. Stewart. Yes, what you said, says Amanda. They're good for garden. Earthworms are like underground farmers. Their tunnels help air and water get down into the soil. Good for gardens, I think. I look down at my list of worm facts. My gift ideas are on the other page. I look back and forth between the two lists. That's it, I shout. Everyone turns to stare at me. Worms would make a great gift for someone who is a gardener, I say. I look up at the teacher. Wouldn't they? I'd have to agree with that, Ms. Stewart says. A pretty original gift, too. Way to go, Dan, says his friend. Some kinds of worms are great recyclers. Some people even keep worm bins. They put in food scraps and other garbage. The worms eat the garbage and leave behind castings, which is their poop, that can be added to gardens as fertilizer. Stacy helps me dig up some earthworms from her backyard after school. I let her do most of the actual worm touching. Maybe worms are neat, but they are still kind of icky. We put all the worms in a jar. It's almost time for the party. You'd better get going, Stacy says. Good luck. I hurry home. When I reach my house, I cover the jar with my jacket and sneak up to my room. I wrap up the worms and make it downstairs just in time. Mom is coming in the front door. Surprise! We all shout. Soon, it's time to open the presents. Mom gets lots of great stuff, and she loves Todd's gardening gloves. Mine is the only gift left to open. I'm excited and a little nervous. Mom tears off the wrapping paper. What's that? Someone whispers. Worms? Uh-oh, I think. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea after all. Earthworms for my garden, Mom says. What a great gift. She gives me a big hug. So everything turned out really great. But I just can't help wondering about one thing. What do I give Mom next year?